What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy, Chef Drew, a.k.a. Chef, a.k.a. Big Drew, a.k.a. We talking to Aaron again, y'all.
Okay.
So, listen, y'all, we're going to get into this interview with Aaron. Last time he was with us, you saw us smash down on some chicken and dumplings. He says they were fire. I didn't do better than great grandma, but I was close, y'all. I was kind of testing him to see what kind of dude he was. Was he gonna go for the gusto or was he a loyalist? He was a loyalist, y'all.
I'm a loyalist. I'm sorry.
He was a loyalist, so I'm cool with that. I'm a loyalist too.
No. If Nan's are a 9 or 10, yours were like a 9.9, man. You're right there.
I mean,
man.
me and Nan there. Maybe Nan taught me.
You and Nan could dance a couple of rounds. Okay.
So y'all, that's great. So we ate the chicken and dumplings, and now the real reason why Aaron is here, we're gonna talk some business, y'all. Just get some insights. But before we do that, please, please, please like, subscribe, do all the things you need to do so we can keep bringing you this content, y'all. Here we go. So y'all, like I said, Aaron Wright, he's my business coach, buddy. I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit about his business. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. However, we've gotten to know each other pretty well over the last year, and I just feel like he's a guy worth talking to. So we just gonna forgive me, y'all. You know, I be using the notepad sometimes. One day we'll have prompters and things like that, so it could be more seamless. But the word says, despise not humble beginnings. So with these humble beginnings, I'm gonna use this notepad. Bear with me, okay? Tell my folks about yourself a little bit. Tell us not so much about business, but who you are, what you like.
Okay.
Just a little bit about you, man.
Very good. You quoted scripture a minute ago, so I'll start. My life verse is Romans 12:11. Do not be slothful in zeal, be fervent in spirit, serve the Lord. So essentially, get out there and hustle.
Yep.
We're all called for a purpose. We all have a mission and something to do, something to offer the world, somebody to serve. Mm-hmm. We're here to get out there and do it. Get out there and hustle. So that's, if you want to know who I am in about 30 seconds, that's it.
Yo, I got to say, I did not know that about you.
Mm-hmm. I got it tattooed on my arm.
Do you really?
Mm-hmm.
But I testify this dude be doing it, y'all. Like, I joke with him because I say, yeah, you do skinny people stuff because he always busy. I ain't skinny like him, y'all, so I be a little bit more, you know what I'm saying, strategic with my movement. Okay. But he be running and running, so what he's saying is true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just came from the gym today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Y'all, I ain't going to no gym on no Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So that just tell you already. I mean, really, I ain't been going to the gym on no days. We'll talk about that. That's another conversation.
Well, I have 3 kids that I know of. So you're, when they have nap time, then you get out there and you get what you got to get done when you don't got to be a dad. So that's what you got to do.
Got you. So I do that too. I got 2 kids though.
Okay.
But I ain't been going to the gym
so far.
So far.
Okay.
So far.
Okay. We'll get you in there.
We'll do that for sure. 2025.
There you go.
Okay. You told us your life verse. Got 3 kids. Are you married?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm married right now, and I've got.
He said he married right now, y'all. So is that changing there? What's going on? Is a new one coming? What's
you
going
never
on?
know, man. You just never know. You got to be open to what life throws at you, man.
Wife, I know nothing about this. This is not scripted. Off script.
That's awesome. So live in Fayetteville. Okay. And I'm a business coach. Yep. So I spent most of my career in human resources.
Okay.
So as
you that guy?
I am that guy. So actually, my first job while I was still in college, I went and worked for Berkshire Hathaway. I wanted to be an HR manager.
Really?
Yeah, because I discovered that I really enjoyed coaching. I coached intramural flag football and softball and stuff, and worked a lot with my high school coaches playing baseball. And I loved coaching. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And but in college, from my perspective, where I was sitting, an HR manager was a lot like a coach because you're the one that's there to love and care for the employees of a business. All right,
What HR office he talking about, Joe?
No, that's what I thought, right? That's what I thought. And so I went to
Okay.
work for Berkshire Hathaway, work for a guy named Adam Logino at Carpet Tile Factory X in Cartersville, Georgia.
Okay.
And he was that kind of HR manager. So I was very blessed and fortunate to actually start off working for a guy that kind of saw HR the way I did.
Okay.
So went from there and worked my way up in terms of human resources, but eventually came to discover most of HR, corporate HR, is the perspective you shared, right? It's paperwork, it's legalese, it's a way for businesses to protect themselves from their employees as opposed to loving and caring for them.
Yeah.
So went to work as a consultant in HR, which then allowed me some more freedom to be able to do HR the way I wanted to do it. So was fortunate, got to work on consulting projects for Lockheed Martin and Boeing and Verizon and ADP.
He name dropping, y'all, just so you know. This is he verified.
Yeah, well. All that to say, those are companies that are doing it right. So I got to learn at the feet of the masters from some of the managers that are there. And so I am nowhere near smart enough to come up with what I do on my own. So I learn, we all stand on the shoulders of the giants that have come before us. So those are the shoulders that I'm standing on.
Y'all have heard me say before multiple times, surround yourself with the people who have what you want or who are doing what you want to do. So unprovoked, you're hearing it again.
Yeah.
Okay, so for a long time you're in corporate HR.
So now I'm a business coach.
And now you're a business coach.
Absolutely.
So why the transition from corporate to working for yourself?
Two reasons. And I'll be super transparent with you. So first reason is my kids. So I wanted to be able to spend more time with them. Previous job, I had to travel a lot, was gone a lot. So I wanted to be able to spend more time with my kids. So I'm really, really happy and blessed to be able to do that now. The office where my partner Nate and I work from is about 5 minutes from my house. And it's a real blessing to be able to work with business owners every day on problems that are relevant to them, helping them grow and solve what's wrong with their businesses. So that's really rewarding. The other thing is actually a very personal journey. So a few years ago, I was diagnosed with advanced cancer. And so that put me in the hospital for a really long time, surgeries, months and months of chemotherapy, and working my way back from that. So I essentially started this journey in the business of being a business coach with my partner right as I was getting my all clear diagnosis from that journey. So I was given a 15% chance to live 2 years ago. And so worked my way all the way back up through that. And so now being given that kind of news, it changes your perspective a little bit. I like what you just shared, you become who you spend your time with. So I'm very fortunate the people that I've had the chance to spend time with have kind of guided me on the right path. But that diagnosis shook me up a little bit. So really, really wanted to be able to chart my own course and do my own thing. So I started this back in January. Nate and I started together, and so now kind of where I am now. So I also do a little bit of fitness coaching on the side. I've been doing that for a few years actually. So I've been doing Ironman triathlon and health and fitness. People always asking me, for advice and stuff, and so I always gave it to them. So then I finally sat down and put a real program together. So been doing that for a few years. Have some clients in different states and enjoying that too.
So you do virtual coaching?
Virtual and in person.
And in person. Okay. So I don't know, he said that rather humbly, y'all, but he just said 15% chance of living. Clearly,
I got to taste the chicken and dumplings today.
He got to taste the chicken and dumplings. So Aaron is a cancer survivor, which I didn't know, which leads me to another question. Like you said earlier, we can talk about in entrepreneurship, people often talk about like, you got to go and get it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You said, your life verse was like, go and get it.
Romans 12:11.
Romans 12:11. So let me ask you this. Fighting for your life and knowing what that perspective is, having that testimony, talk to me a little bit about what that does for your perspective on grit Something I've talked about a lot on this channel is just as an entrepreneur, or if you're thinking about pursuing entrepreneurship, the necessity to be able to dig deep when you don't feel like it, when it doesn't look like it. The necessity to be able to hold on when you feel like maybe even sometimes you don't have a choice or you don't want to hold on. Essentially grit. So give us some perspective on grit from your world.
Sure. Yeah. My one of the men that I am very close with is my grandfather. My dad too, but my grandfather, the gentleman that adopted my dad when he was very young. And he said something to me a long time ago. He said, courage is shown when things are hard. Courage is shown when you're scared. Courage is shown when the chips are down. Right? It's not. You can say you're courageous, but when have you demonstrated it, right?
Right.
And so we are not the stories we tell about ourselves.
Right.
We are our actions. And so when you're given a diagnosis like that, when you go through all the stages of grief, right? You have the 5 stages of grief from anger and bargaining and all those. You go through all of those, but in the end, you're ultimately left with a choice.
Okay.
And you can either choose to be what you want everybody to think about yourself. You can, you have these ideals. I want to be courageous. I want to work hard. I want to be a leader. I want to beat this. I have things that I still want to do. You can either get out there and do it, even if it's hard, or not. So throughout chemo, I was training for a triathlon. I ran a triathlon while I was in chemo. And so it was a little dangerous. Probably hindsight shouldn't have done that because I cramped up in the water. It was in Chattanooga. So I cramped up in the water while I was swimming down the river trying to get out, and then almost was a sad day, but made it through. But it was just one of those things. Just like, what am I? My dad has always said, he laughs about this. He's always said he wants to learn how to play the guitar. It's been 30 years. He still really doesn't know how to play the guitar. So really, did he actually want to play the guitar? No, because if he really wanted it, he'd do it.
Right.
So you are where your actions meet the road. If I say that I'm a faithful person, am I really faithful, or do I just say I am?
Yeah.
I'm a hardworking person. Am I actually a hardworking person, or do I just say I am?
Right.
Am I an entrepreneur, or do I just say I am?
Yeah.
What do your actions say about you? Not what does the story you tell about yourself say? So when you're faced, I was put in a position, I didn't put myself in that position. I was put in a position where I just was forced to make a choice.
Right.
Fight or not, be what I said I was or not. Okay. And I was fortunate to have people around me that helped me make a good choice.
Right.
And so now I'm still here, which is awesome. Yep. So it's a blessing, and don't claim all of the credit there because my oncologist was amazing, family was amazing, friends were amazing, and I did not do it without support.
Right.
But ultimately, when it comes down to it, you're either going to do it or you're not.
So that's true. So let me ask you this, because you just said a whole bunch. Because a lot of times business, when you're bootstrapping and doing this thing, grassroots or not, business can feel like you're fighting for your life.
It does.
When on the hard days, during the hard times, what were some of the things that you looked to or that you told yourself to get through those bona fide hard moments?
I think you have to have a target. You have to know who you want to be when you grow up, right? Yeah. So when I talk to my daughter about this a lot, because she's almost 13, so she's learning how to make choices, and some days are harder than others. She gets picked on a little bit, little challenges that kids go through as they grow. And you have to have an idea of who you want to be when you grow up. What do you want to happen? You have to have a target. Yeah. And without a target, you can have all the grit in your heart you want, but you don't know where to go. You don't know how to demonstrate that grit. Yeah. You don't know how to take a step forward if you don't know where forward is. Yeah. So bringing it back to business, you have to have a goal. You have to know what you want to be when you grow up, when your business grows up.
Yeah.
And then you can start making progress forward. Then you can have purpose. Then you can start to measure the successes that you're having. If you don't know where your business is going to go, then you're a chef, you do a farmer's market one day and it goes okay. Then you do some prepackaged meals, and then you go do a corporate event, and then you go do a festival. I mean, you're doing all these things, but how do you know if you're making progress? Well, you got to know the kind of business you want to build.
Right.
And so when you go through hard times, if you have a target, if you have that Michael Jordan poster on your wall that you know every day I'm going to basketball practice and I'm going to shoot 3 throws until my fingers are bleeding because I know I want to be as the best that I can be at that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to build this business to be that, and I'm going to go make my fingers bleed until it gets there.
Right.
Without a purpose, you don't have anything to focus on, and without anything to focus on, it's really hard to get through those hard times.
Dope. I think you guys have heard me say before, and Aaron just reiterated it. There has to be something that is your why, like you said, your purpose, to hold on to in the dark. Something that you can hold on to when you don't see it. You know, like he said, if you want to be a hooper, you look at a Michael Jordan poster. For me, it's just freedom. When you are working a business day in and day out, or you're working a job day in and day out, a lot of times your time, your life is not your own. However, if you create a plan, for me, if I create a plan and work this plan, my poster on the wall is being able to have freedom for me and my family. I want time freedom. I want location freedom. I want financial freedom. And so on the hard days, when I don't see the money in the bank, when the sales aren't happening, when my books aren't done, inside joke, what I hold on to is the freedom that I want and the freedom that I know my family hasn't experienced yet. And that is what pushes me through the annoying times or what have you. You talked about your business. Go ahead.
I was just going to give you a compliment. I mean, going through cancer is a battle, right?
Yeah.
It's a dragon that I have to fight. That's my dragon to fight. I have clients who have lost kids. I have clients that have gone through bankruptcies. Have clients that have lost other dear loved ones. Have lost jobs. I mean, everybody has the dragons they fight. So I'm not special in that I had a dragon that I had to fight. Everybody does.
Right.
And so everybody has those, but it's the courage you demonstrate by being an entrepreneur, by pushing through those things, that you should allow grace for yourself. Don't beat yourself up too much. Just keep your eye on the prize. And you do a really good job of that.
I appreciate it.
You push through. You know what you want to become. You know who you are.
Yeah.
And that's why I enjoy having you as a friend and as somebody I get to work with every day, because you have the right mindset. If you have the right mindset, then you can start making progress.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, I took some lashes for that, just so you know. Like, real talk, just so you know, you're hearing a lot of the good stuff, and a lot of times we hear the good stuff.
Sure.
But for me to even have a business coach, y'all, for me to even, your boy had to go through some processes. Yeah. So hearing that accolade means a lot, because I had to go through some processes with this dude. I mean, I'm just saying. But, it is what it is. You get better and you get stronger, so I appreciate that. You touched on your business partner, Nate.
Yeah, he's great.
Nate's a great dude. I know him as well. Nate the Great. How, we've talked about partnerships and the type of businesses and things on the channel before. How did you and Nate meet? How did y'all come to be business partners?
Completely and totally by accident. So if you always keep your eye open for new opportunities, right? And let the people who are closest to you in your life know who you are and what your goals are, what you want to become. Yeah. Because they will help you along the way. And so me meeting Nate was a result of doing that. Right. So I actually knew Nate's wife for a lot longer than I've known Nate, because I do triathlon and have been for years and years. It's a hobby that I've kind of cultivated from going on triathlon trips with my grandfather from New Hampshire. So I'm just doing triathlons with his wife as a part of the same triathlon club. So
Gotcha.
just kind of local, general, ran in the same circles. And then I happen to be very close friends with one of Nate's closest friends also. His name's Michael.
Okay.
And so between Tiffany, Nate's wife, and Michael, I kind of ancillarily knew Nate and met him a couple of times. And then started playing in the same poker group as Nate. And so then when I began being open to, I need to do something different. I need to make a change for my kids. Then Nate and I decided to have lunch, and kind of the rest is history. We both have the same passion for using the skills that we've learned on the shoulders of the giants that have come before us. We've got a lot of knowledge and experience there. So we want to be able to pass that along, to give that gift back. We all want to be of service. So we share that same heart. And because we share the same heart and the same kind of general business drive, that it makes sense. Right. So that's why we decided to start doing business together.
That's dope. Me and my business partners came along kind of, like you said, just out of the blue. Y'all have heard me talk about it a little bit before. So I say that to say and reiterate that, y'all, you don't know who is your guy or who is your person in business or in life. That's why it is very, very important to, just like Aaron said, talk to people, man. Let people know what you got going on, what you want to do. Yeah. And your partner, your financier, your breakthrough could literally be the guy in the sweatpants next to you. You just don't know. That's why we got to, talk.
Yeah. Have you ever heard, I think it's don't front? Like, don't put out into the world an image that isn't you.
Yeah.
Be honest with yourself. And if you're honest with yourself, you can put out an honest kind of picture of who you are, not the Facebook and Instagram version of you. Put out the real you to the real people in your life that are closest to you.
Yeah.
And just give them the opportunity, show them the respect, and allow them to be a blessing in your life. So just be yourself, and then just let them help you.
Right. Agreed. So one thing I wanted to ask you about, Aaron, there's been one or two times, y'all, I ain't lying, I don't front. I'm a very real individual.
You are.
So there's been a time or two where your personality and my personality have rubbed a little bit.
Sure.
And I've had to come to you and been like, yo, I didn't appreciate that, or I didn't like that, or whatever. And both times that I can think of that has happened, I think it's only been twice, but when it has happened.
So far.
It will happen again.
Yeah, sure.
Quite honestly, you impressed me, because the way you handled those conversations was unexpected to me. A lot of times as entrepreneurs, and this is why I wanted to ask this question, just trying to get things happen, people hire just people to hire them, or they get into partnerships or situations where maybe they were more emotionally driven, or for a time, but they end up going on longer than they need to. Can you talk about conflict and the ability to have the hard conversations, one, and two, give some nuggets about how to navigate those waters? I know what I think. I come from the standpoint, I believe, address it directly and address it quickly. That's typically what I do.
Sure.
What are your thoughts as a human resources guy? You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, to all of my clients that are watching, they've heard this before, but conflict can be resolved through two things: love and trust. It's just those two words right there. So you got to build love. You got to build trust. Yeah. Love, you can think of as like a bank. Yeah. You got to make enough deposits in order to be able to make withdrawals.
Right.
Sometimes conflict happens before you have the opportunity to make a lot of deposits. So through whatever conflict that comes up, you always have to make sure, people don't remember what you say. Yeah. They remember how you make them feel.
Right.
So when you're presented with an opportunity to demonstrate your love for somebody, aka a conflict scenario, a misunderstanding, whatever happened, an issue, that is an opportunity to demonstrate your heart. That is not I know we both have a mutual friend who's a manager at Chick-fil-A,
Mhm.
and that's what they talk about, right? It's every bad thing that happens is an opportunity to demonstrate your love for the person who's sitting across from you.
Right.
So you have to have that heart first and foremost. It's not a technique. It's not a word track that you can follow. There's no secret, mumbo jumbo or voodoo that will resolve a conflict.
Mhm.
The person who you're going to who want to resolve a conflict with has to know that you care about them.
Right.
They just have to know that. They have to
Right.
feel it. And the second piece is trust. And there are two kinds of trust. So the first is the trust most people think about, which is performative trust.
Uh-huh.
So you and I engage in multiple interactions, phone calls, chicken and dumpling tastings, gym sessions, networking groups, and you see me act and react and enact and then react, and you slowly are able to kind of generally predict my behaviors. And so you then trust I will be what you've seen me to be.
Right.
That's performative trust that
Yeah.
builds slowly over time.
Yeah.
The other kind of trust is vulnerability-based trust.
Yeah.
Those are two different things. And when someone is vulnerable with you
Mhm.
as to their heart, their mistakes, their passions, their fears, then the person who's being vulnerable is then allowing that other person,
Yeah.
the space to be vulnerable back.
Right.
So if you have those two things, love, which I genuinely love and care for each of my clients, and
Yeah.
if I don't, then I need to be chastised. I need to have somebody have a difficult conversation with me. But if I'm doing a real good job and loving and caring for my employees, my customers, my vendors, whoever, and then I am doing the work of a leader, which is being vulnerable with those people.
Yeah.
This is what I see. This is how I observed this behavior. This is what I'm looking at in your books. If I'm being fully vulnerable and transparent and hiding nothing, then I have the opportunity to really navigate a conflict.
Right.
And the way you navigate conflict is exactly how you did it.
Yeah.
If you first have love and trust, then you just go directly at it and be direct with the person you have conflict with.
Right.
Exactly like you did.
Yeah. So I would also say to add on to Aaron's point, y'all listen, conflict will happen. It's inevitable. We can never be so hoity-toity to not be able to receive or engage in critique. If someone comes to you humbly and respectfully in love and with grace to resolve an issue, y'all, no matter what the content, the subject matter is, or the content of the conversation, we have to position ourselves in a place of humility that allows us to receive and at the very least, listen. Because if you're not willing to listen and engage in dialogue, everything Aaron just said and what I would say is irrelevant. Please, y'all, don't be so proud that you can't hear someone say, hey, you hurt me. So once upon a time, a long time ago, Aaron, I was a member of the Chamber of Commerce where I live with another business that I had.
Okay.
Bad experience. To me, I went to this group, they took some money from me, and they wanted me to show up for all these events or whatever, but it just was not an enjoyable experience. It didn't benefit my business. And so for a long, long time, I had a great disdain for networking groups. I wasn't with them. I felt like a lot of them were hustles, right? And then earlier this year, the PR lady I was talking to, she brought me to 1 Million Cups, a networking group locally, where I met you. I have grown to really care about that group. I've gotten a lot of value out of it. Have made some great relationships personally and professionally. Completely and totally changed my mind on networking. I do think some of that has to do as well with just maturing in me, but needless to say, networking groups, I'm a fan of them now as long as they're the right ones. Because I see you at networking groups, I've seen you at a few now. Talk about the importance or the value in professional networking groups for the person who's at home who may not even know it's a thing,
Sure.
or who can't justify the finances behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got something to offer the world, if you're a chef, if you're a business coach, if you are an accountant or an attorney or a mechanic, or whatever your journey has led you to become, whatever you have to offer the world, in good faith, I can make the world a better place through the skills that I have, through the heart that I have, and this is how it's manifesting itself into the world. Now, don't hide it under a bushel, as the song goes, right? Go out there and share it with the world. Tell people where your heart is and what you want to do. So networking groups are just a way to share with the world your purpose.
Okay.
And to tell them who you are and how you can help. And then it's a way for you to find people you can be of service to.
Okay.
That is the way to approach a networking group. It's not, I'm going to go to this networking group and then I'm going to sign a bunch of clients and then I'm going to make a bunch of money and, I'm there for the networking group to serve me.
Okay.
Wrong. You will always lose in a networking group if you go at it with that mindset.
Okay.
You have to walk in with the heart people can smell it on you. Like they can smell if I just want to close a deal. I just want to close a deal.
Right.
Versus if, how can I help you, Drew? Like, what do you do? You're a chef. Okay. Tell me more about that. Like, if they genuinely care about you, then you build a real relationship and then you can actually help the person.
Right.
Sometimes it's doing business together. Sometimes it's making an introduction, like at the 1 Million Cups. I met a young man named Aiden. He's a brand new, fresh entrepreneur. He's like 18 years old.
Yeah.
And
he's a pretty phenomenal dude, y'all.
He's okay.
He's pretty phenomenal. Let's just say at 18 years old, he's doing things I was not thinking about. I mean, he can just say that.
So he still owes me a pickleball paddle. One of the ways, just getting to know him, was able to help him out, helped him a little bit with his 1 Million Cups presentation, and then introduced him to a business.
Yeah.
And now he's doing business with another company.
Right.
Just because I made the introduction. And it wasn't because I'm special, just you walk in with a heart to be helpful and to be of service, and then you will benefit from the networking group. You will add to the group. You will change the culture of the group by way of your simply having that approach.
Yeah.
Go to a networking group trying to be of service and to love the people in the room.
Yeah.
Get to know them. That's how you do it. And that's really all I have to say, other than if you're going to be a business owner, you do have to be very careful in where you spend your time, right?
That's what I was about to ask you.
So you can't go to every networking group every single day because that's not productive. We need to be very clear and strategic in where we're going to spend our time. So you do have to do direct sales. You do have to do marketing. You have to do bookkeeping sometimes. You have to do cooking. You have the business of your business. So be strategic in the groups you choose.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you need to know who your target audience is. What are the businesses I can best serve?
Right.
I'm a chef, so who do I need to be in front of? Then you choose the networking groups that will get you in front of those people. You give them a try, but you still are going at that group with the heart to be of service, not the heart to win a client.
Right.
That changes how you talk. That changes how you listen. It changes everything. Your heart.
Be a servant, y'all. That's essentially networking. And I like the way you articulated it, because if I'm real with myself, when I was a part of that, the Chamber of Commerce back in the day, I wasn't thinking about serving nobody. I was thinking about making some money. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they did smell it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I was in there like, yo, he just wants to sell this food real quick.
Yeah.
But I do know my attitude is different now. So that was great.
I mean, you have to sell things for your business to grow, right? You have to have clients. You have to be able to do that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with earning, because the more you earn, the more impact you're having in the world. Sales are just a measure of how impactful in the world you are. Mm-hmm. That's just a measure, not the measure, a measure.
Right.
So it's important to sell things. It's important to hone that process, but your heart's got to come first.
Yeah.
You got to know who you are, who you want to be, and then walk in just sharing that with people.
Right. If you lead with the heart, the other stuff will come.
Yep.
So, Aaron, tell me this. You're a business coach. You're also an HR director. Where do you see business owners messing up?
Mhm.
Where do you see? Talk to the mom and pop grassroots entrepreneur who's watching this, who's at home trying to figure it out, or maybe they find themselves on the hamster wheel, or maybe they're burnt out.
Mhm.
Where from your perspective, dealing with people in business, where do we mess up?
Okay. Well, I'd say primarily, especially as you're getting started, you're going to mess up in one of four areas. One is the biggest, and I'll get to that one last. The first area is time mastery. So you need to be a master of when and how you're spending your time. So you have, as an entrepreneur, on any given Monday morning at 9 a.m., you've got a million things that you could be doing. You could go out and go door-to-door selling. You could call a marketing agency. You could make some of the product that you're trying to sell. I mean, you have a number. You could take a nap. You could go to the gym. You could do whatever. You have a lot of choices.
Right.
What do you do? How are you going to spend your time? How are you going to track the results of how you're spending your time?
Right.
That's number one, time mastery.
Time mastery.
Yep. Number two is money mastery.
Uh-huh.
So how much money do you have coming in? How much do you have going out? What is the opportunity cost of the time you're spending?
Yep.
So how much does each hour of my time cost me? And how am I recouping that?
Right.
So money mastery is number two. Number three is delivery mastery. So that is actually delivering the service you say you'll provide at a high level every single time. This is something Chick-fil-A does very, very well, right? So they're the classic. I mean, you could go to any Chick-fil-A in the country. The waffle fry is going to taste the same.
You know what your experience
Spicy chicken
is.
Deluxe with pepper jack, extra mayo, and extra pickles. It's always going to be
what
the
you
same.
know about that?
It's gonna
You're
be-
leaving me hanging, Aaron. You're leaving me hanging. You're leaving me hanging, Aaron.
That's good. Oh, dude, I didn't see. So every single time, the delivery of the service you're providing needs to be high quality every time.
Yeah.
So those three are areas where entrepreneurs are going to struggle because it's only them and or a partner or something.
Time, money,
and delivery. Yep, those are the three areas that people are going to struggle with a lot. That's where I'm going to plug myself a little bit. That's where somebody who has a heart to be helpful, we're going to help you come in and we're going to help give you a system to help guide you in those three areas.
Right.
But the number one area, if you're going to ask me for one, it's the fourth, and that is destination mastery. And I talked about it a little bit before. It's who do you want to be? What is this business going to become? Who are we trying to serve specifically, not generally? If you know where you're going, the rest of your decisions kind of generally tend to fall in line.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one of our clients is a school. Mm-hmm. I know that they want to open up multiple locations. I know that they want to add this many staff. I know what their mission is with their students. They have a very clear idea of what they are and what they're going to become.
Okay.
We also know how long they're going to be in existence before they sell and or move on to that next level of business, right? So they have a very clear idea of what they want to become. Without that idea, without that Michael Jordan poster on the wall, that is the number one area business owners fail because they don't feel like it's productive, right? On a Monday morning, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to come up with a vision sheet.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about my priorities. I'm going to think about my time. I'm going to think about my heart and who I want to serve. That doesn't feel productive,
right?
But it is.
Right.
Once you go through that process and define specifically where you're headed, the rest of your decisions become so much easier. That is the number one area business owners and entrepreneurs, especially when they're just getting started, fail. Take some time, sit down with people who know you, who know your weaknesses and your strengths, decide who you want to become, and then head in that direction.
I don't think we've ever talked about that, but I'm just saying, throwing that out there. I think I might want to have that conversation with you just a little bit at some point.
Got to have cash flow too. That's important.
Yeah, got to have cash flow.
Yep.
You touched on it a little bit, but I think it's a great segue. So those are the things that business owners mess up on and create problems. One of my previous episodes, actually several previous episodes, I've talked a lot about accountability and what accountability in business can look like. I've talked about having safe people. I've talked about mentors, and I've talked about some other things, but I've also talked about coaches. Talk about accountability and the importance thereof for entrepreneurs or business people. I think maybe even more for people who are not interested in buying themselves a job, because you have a lot of those entrepreneurs who they are perfectly fine grinding 9 to 5 in the business. They make a good salary. They put it in the bank. It's there when they need it to. But then you have the entrepreneurs who are really trying to scale and grow and exit or do whatever. Talk about accountability and the benefit thereof, specifically coaching.
Sure. Yeah, I think business owners, a lot of them, like you said, they bought themselves a job. They didn't like their corporate boss or whoever. So now they are in the business making cookies or selling real estate or working, doing whatever it is that they're doing, making, you go to a craft fair and they're making their stuff and they're enjoying that. That's a passion, that's a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as you know that that's where you are and that's all you will become, unless you choose to do something different. You have to make different choices if you want a different outcome. Right. So for an entrepreneur, our goal as coaches for everybody that we coach is ultimately one day to offer the business owner the freedom to do whatever they want. So you want to have a business that works without you. You could go to Europe for a month, come back, and your business is bigger than when you left. Because you have a team, you have systems in place that do those things, the delivery and the time, the destination, and all of that, all the things that have to do with the business. So that's our goal, is to make businesses self-sufficient and autonomously running things that the entrepreneur ultimately owns. But you can't get there without accountability, to your point. So you need people in your life that will be your guardrails, that will check you when you get off course, that will push you when you're tired, that will have the freedom that you've given them to speak into your life and say, look, we really do need you to get these books in order, because without them, we can't make good decisions. We really do need you to hit that target list and go out and beat the streets on these specific targets to let them know that your service is available so you can get new clients. Like whatever that next step is, specifically tactically in your business, you need to have somebody pushing you in that direction. You can't have that unless you're honest and transparent with the people in your life. If you're fronting and telling everybody I'm the successful entrepreneur, then everybody thinks that, and no one is going to speak into your life and be like, hey. But if you're honest with people as to what you're working on, how you're spending your time and money, then they have the opportunity then to hold you accountable to that Michael Jordan poster that you ultimately want to become.
So let me speak to the person out there right now. I've been doing my business in some form or the other for over 10 years. I've been doing it full time, for real. Technically like 3 years, but life happened, so maybe like 2 years. In comes Aaron. And when I met Aaron, y'all, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I had never tracked my finances in my business ever. Like never. That sounds pretty embarrassing and foolish to say, but it's the truth. I just hadn't. And I think the way I justified it was the business was fledgling, it's just new, getting off the ground, and I wasn't making enough to make it important. I was wrong. And it cost me a lot more money to fix this issue than it needed to, but that's a whole nother story. However, so when I met Aaron and his partner, Nate, the first thing they didn't care about nothing, y'all. All they got on me about was getting my numbers straight so I could speak to the numbers. Whoever you are out there who is operating your business, whether it's grassroots or not, and your numbers, your financials, you don't got that thing locked in, dialed in. That doesn't even mean you have to do it. If you're willing to pay someone to help you with it, find safe people, find reputable people to help you do it. But if you are not drilling down on your financials and are able to speak to them and create goals and milestone and mile markers for your business, you ain't gonna never get nowhere. I'm just sorry. I was so frustrated before I met Aaron and Nate, thinking about my business, because there was just a part of me that knew I didn't know the numbers, knew I couldn't speak to the numbers, and was like, yo, this ain't a real business. These guys pushed me. I think we pushed on each other, but they pushed me to get this thing done. It took me a couple months, but I got it all squared away. And I got to tell you, the sense of accomplishment, one, by getting to that point, that I felt was great. But more importantly, it felt amazing to be able to set a goal that was based in fact. And I think that's what your numbers do for you. One of the things they do for you is it allows you to set goals for your business from a place that is factual and not, I think, or we'll see, or maybe. So if you know you don't, you know it too. Y'all know y'all the ones who ain't got your numbers right and you out here fronting. Mm-hmm. Take the time, do what you got to do, hire a bookkeeper, find a coach, do whatever you got to do to get your numbers straightened away so you can move your business forward. It won't happen otherwise. Plus, if you ever want to scale this thing and sell this thing and you can't show your numbers for real, you ain't selling nothing, just saying.
Yeah, your sales price is a multiple of your EBITDA. So earnings before taxes, interest, and depreciation. So you're not gonna, you don't know what your business is worth unless you know your numbers.
So thank you for that. Appreciate it. Aaron, before we let you go, talk to us a little bit about balancing entrepreneurship, grinding, and life, social life, family life, your dad, your husband. Talk to them about a little bit about that, because you're a very busy person. Every time I talk to you, you got something going on, but I know you have a life as well. So how do you navigate those waters?
Yeah, I think what I have found so far in my 40 years of being on this earth, that you're, and the people that have taught me, keep your life simple. Know what you want to do and say no to everything else. A lot of opportunities are going to come your way in life. Just know who you are and what you want to become. So for me, I want to be a good dad, I want to be a triathlete, I want to be a business coach, and I want to be a fitness coach. That's pretty much the 4 things that I do. Okay. That's almost entirely everything I do. Right. I play a little bit of video games with my friends, still go to poker nights sometimes with the guys. I like to go skiing for vacation. I mean, right. There are other ancillary things, but those take up a very, very small percentage of my time. Okay. The overwhelming majority of my time is spent on those 4 things. And that's all I do. So as an entrepreneur, know what you want to be when you grow up. And do that and do almost nothing else. Don't try to whatever. Like everybody's life is different. Everybody has these things that suck time away. Whether it's, for some people it's as silly as like scrolling on Facebook. Like people spend hours doing that. Yeah. Say no to everything that isn't something that gets you closer to where you want to be. Right. So there's a famous kind of philosophical concept that's like, if you make a 10% increase every day, you get a little bit better, 10% a little better every day. Eventually you'll make this amazing progress, right? Mm-hmm. That's actually not true. Unless there's one critical piece. So if you make 10% progress in this direction, and then in this direction, and in this direction, and then this direction, and then this direction, eventually you're kind of generally in the same spot. Right. You only make progress if you're moving in one direction. Mm-hmm. So take something super simple like my triathlon hobby. Yeah. It's not a career, it's a hobby. Mm-hmm. So it holds a certain place in my life that is not reserved for family or for vocation. But it is a hobby that gets me fit and helps me mentally and all those things. But for triathlon, when I go to the gym, I'm only doing those exercises that are going to make me a faster triathlon that help me get on the podium when I race. I'm only doing those, like I do Pilates, I do core exercises, I do running, swimming, only enough weightlifting to help my core, not enough to really bulk up because I want to be light and fast. So even when I go to the gym, I'm saying no to all the other gym activities I could be doing, racquetball and basketball and golf or all that other stuff. I'm only doing those things that are going to get me closer to the goal that I have for myself. So the trick is say no as much as possible and say yes to the things that the 80-year-old version of yourself will be proud you said yes to.
That's awesome. Tell me this. You deal with entrepreneurs every day. You are an entrepreneur. What are the top 3 to 5 traits when you think of the entrepreneurs that you know who are knocking it out of the park, whose businesses are thriving, who have freedom in their lives, what are the top 3 to 5 attributes or characteristics that you recognize in them?
It's a hard question. I think number one, you touched on it at the very beginning, grit.
Yeah.
You got to have grit. You got to have vision.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know who your friends are.
Yeah.
And hold those people very close. You need to be transparent. You need to be loving. You need to be kind.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, dude, you're the, the hard-nosed Hell's Kitchen kind of attitude. It's great for TV.
Right.
Not great for operating a business or building long-term sustainable relationships.
So, and as we close, I'm going to close with this question for you. What is one day when you're no longer here, what do you want your entrepreneurial or just life legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered as far as a business owner or as a man?
That's a really hard question. It's a personal question, so I think I would like to be thought of the way that my grandfather is thought of, and the way my other grandfather actually is thought of.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them is passed, the other's not, but both of them were kind of thought of in the same way. Both of them were pillars of the community in the towns where they live. Both of them served in local government because they felt like it was their duty to give back.
Yeah.
Both of them were active in charity. Both of them were successful in business, so that they earned so that they could then help and give. So I hope I grow up to be like my grandfathers. That's where I'd like to be when I'm 85, 90.
That's super dope.
Yeah.
Well, listen, Aaron, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
my
you
pleasure.
for coming to the Eating
Thank you for the
Chambers.
chicken and dumplings, man. Those things were freaking awesome. Like 9.9, man. Like Nan, I got your back, Nan. Like I love you. He's the next evolution in the chicken and dumplings.
Man, Nan, I would like you to know that I literally asked him to tell me about your chicken and dumplings, and he did with great detail.
Yeah, I told him
And so
exactly how to do it.
I let that inspire me. So
There you go.
I'm glad you enjoyed them. Again,
Those
thanks
are
for
amazing.
talking to us, man. Y'all, listen. My business coach, he came, he chatted with us for a little bit. Hopefully, if you don't, then something's really, we got other issues, but hopefully you were able to glean something from his insights. Thank you so much for tuning in, y'all. Please, please, please like, subscribe, do all the things to help us keep bringing you this content. And remember, Last Night's Coffee with Chuck and John on all podcasting platforms. Check out my homies, man. They got some great content, great guys. Until next time, y'all, we are gone.